Today we will see the solved question paper of November 2020 of 2010 scale. So the first question is define immunity. Describe the factors that affect innate immunity. So immunity is derived from the Latin word immunes, which is free of burden, refers to resistance exhibited by host towards injury caused by microorganisms and their products. The factors affecting the level of immunity include first one is age. Fetus in utero that are too extremely light carries higher susceptibility to infectious disease as compared with adults. The fetus in utero protected from maternal infections by the passable barrier, but some pathogens cross this barrier causing overwhelming infections leading to fetal death, while others, such as toxoplasma, rubella, herpes, cytomegalovirus, lead to congenital malformations. In the elderly, it besides the general waning of the activities of immune system, physical abnormalities like prostate enlargement leading to stasis of urine or long-term exposure to environmental factors like smoking are common cause of increased susceptibility to the infection. So as we have seen, it is the age, means both fetus and means in utero and the elderly. Second is hormonal influence. Endocrine disorders like diabetes, hypothyroidism, adrenal dysfunction associated with enhanced sensitivity to the infections. High incidence of staphylococcal sepsis in diabetes is due to increased level of carbohydrate in tissues. Corticosteroid hormones have anti-inflammatory and anti-phagocytic effect with depressed host resistance. Elevated steroid level during pregnancy resulted in increased susceptibility to many infections. Nutrition. Malnutrition, which causes reduced cell-mediated and humoral immunity. Cell-mediated immune response decrease in several protein deficiency. For this sex, there is no marked difference in susceptibility to infections between the sexes in general. Incidence and death rate from infectious disease are greater in males than in females. Stress. A growing body of evidence has demonstrated an inverse relation between stress and immune function. The end result is increased susceptibility to the infection. Name two bacteria causing enteric fever. Describe the mode of transmission, laboratory diagnosis, and prophylaxis of enteric fever. Enteric fever, otherwise known as typhoid fever, is a systemic disease characterized by fever and abdominal pain caused by dissemination of Salmonella typhi or Salmonella paratyphi type A, B, or C. The mode of transmission include: first, typhoid bacillus is transmitted by consumption of contaminated food or water. Occasionally, direct fecal oral transmission may occur. Shellfish taken from sewage polluted areas is an important source of infection. Transmission also occurs through eating raw fruit and vegetables fertilized by human excreta and through ingestion of contaminated milk and milk products. Flies, which may cause human infection through transfer of infectious agent to the foods. Pollution of water sources may produce epidemics of typhoid fever when large number of people use the same source of drinking water. Laboratory diagnosis. Infection with typhoid or paratyphoid fever result in very low-grade septicemia. Blood culture is usually positive only in half cases and it is not usually positive during acute phase of the disease. Blood marrow culture increases the diagnostic yield up to 80% of cases. The VIDAR test is an old serological assay for detecting IgM and IgG antibodies to the O and H antigens of Salmonella. The test is unreliable, but it is widely used in developing countries because of its low cost. Newer serological assays are somewhat more sensitive and specific than VIDAR tests but are infrequently available. Bacteremia occurs early in this disease and blood cultures are positive in the first week around 90%, second week around 75%, third week by 60% and fourth week by 25%. Prophylaxis of enteric fever. Access to safe water, adequate sanitation, hygiene among food handlers and typhoid vaccinations are effective about preventing the typhoid disease. Two vaccines has been used for many years to protect people from typhoid fever. Injectable vaccine based on purified antigen for people aged over 2 years. A live attenuated oral vaccine in capsule formation for people aged over 5 years. These vaccines do not provide long-lasting immunity and are not approved for children younger than 2 years old age. The following recommendations will ensure the safety, ensure food is properly cooked and still hot when served, Avoid raw milk products made from raw milk. Use only pasteurized boiled milk. Avoid ice unless it is made from safe water. When safety of drinking water is questionable, boil it, or if it is not possible, disinfect them with reliable slow-release disinfectant agent. Wash hands thoroughly and frequently using soap, particularly after contact with pets or from the farm animals, or after having been to the toilet. Wash fruits and vegetables carefully, particularly if they have eaten raw. If possible, vegetables and fruits should be peeled. Short notes. The first one is bacterial growth curve. A suitable liquid medium is inoculated with the bacterium and incubated growth allows the definitive course. A small samples are taken at regular intervals after inoculation and plotted in relation to time. A plotting of data will yield a characteristic growth curve. The changes of slope on such a graph indicate transition from one phase to development of another. Phases of bacterial growth curve. It's divided into four major phases. They are lag phase, exponential or log phase, stationary phase, and decline phase. These phases reflect physiological state of the organism in the culture at the particular time. First is lag phase. When the microorganism introduced into the fresh culture media, usually there is no immediate increase in cell numbers. It occurs in the period of lag phase. Second is log phase or logarithmic or exponential phase. Following lag phase, the cells start dividing and their numbers increase exponentially by a geometric progression with the time. If the logarithm of the viable count is plotted against time, it is straight line will be obtained. Third is stationary phase. After a varying period of exponential growth, the cell division stops due to depletion of nutrients and accumulation of toxic products. Eventually, the growth slows down and total bacterial cell number reaches a maximum and stabilizes. Decline phase or death phase. Death phase is the period when the population decreases due to cell death. Eventually, the rate of the death exceeds the rate of reproduction and the number of viable cells declines. This is the picture of a bacterial growth curve. So first is the lag phase, that there is no growth, so there is a log phase increase, then the stationary phase at the viable, and there is the phase of decline as the time goes. Microfilaria. Microfilaria is an early stage life cycle of parasitic nematodes in the family. The adults live in the tissues and circulatory system of the vertebra. They release microfilaria into the bloodstream of vertebrate host. The microfilaria are taken up by blood-feeding arthropod vectors. The intermediate host, the microfilaria, develop into the infective larvae that can be transmitted to the new vertebrate host. Source and transmission. Epidemiology of filar worms is determined by temperature, rainfall, factors affecting the reproduction of vector flies. Following mating, the female worms release microfilaria which are picked up by the vector insects while feeding the host blood. Microfilaria molt and develop into infective larvae which are injected into the dermis layer of the skin. After 1 year, the larvae molt twice into the adult worms. The clinical findings include the blood-sucking flies and even housefly can transmit disease. And although these lesions are inconvenient to the animal, ulcers heal spontaneously. The treatment includes non-effective treatment, topical treatment with organophosphorus compound, reduce number and burden of the parafilaria lesions. Secondary skin lesions and suppurations should be treated with basic wound management technique and fly strike prevention. Prevention. Control of filariid worms focusing on decreasing microfilaria in the blood and eradicating adult worms on the skin and their vector flies. Vector control carried out by using environment-safe insecticides applied by aerial spraying over breeding sites of the flies is recommended. Laboratory diagnosis of gas gangrene. So the specimens include, first one is edge of the affected muscles, exudates from the wounds and necrotic tissue and muscle fragments. In microscopy, the Gram-state films give presumptive information about the species of Clostridia present and their relative numbers. If the gas gangrene is present, gram-positive rods may predominate. Thick, stubby, gram-positive rods, thus Clostridia perfingers or Clostridia sordi, citron bodies, bot or leaf-shaped pleomorphic bacilli with irregular staining may indicate Clostridia septicum. Slender rods with round terminal spores is Clostridia tetani, and large rods with oval subterminal spores indicate Clostridia novae. Culture. Fresh and heated blood agar are used for aerobic and anaerobic cultures to prevent the swarming by some species. The colostrum of the plates containing increased agar are concerned. A plate of serum or egg yolk agar with Clostridia perfringens antitoxin spread on the half is used for Nagler reaction. Identification. Examine the plates for typical colonies. Isolate and identify based on their morphological, cultural, biochemical, and toxigenic characteristics. Gas gangrene is a medical emergency. The diagnosis of gas gangrene must be made primarily on clinical grounds, and the function of laboratory is only to provide confirmation of the clinical diagnosis as well as identification and enumeration of the infecting organism. Candidiasis. Candida albicans is an opportunistic fungal pathogen that is responsible for candidiasis in human host. Candida albicans grow in several different morphological forms ranging from unicellular budding yeast to true hyphae with parallel side wall. Candida albicans is a unicellular oval-shaped diploid fungus. Typically, Candida albicans live as a harmless common source of GI tract and genitourinary tract and found around 70% of population. Overgrowth of this organism, however, will lead to the disease. Candidiasis is a fungal infection that can be affected the skin, genitalia, throat, mouth, blood. There are several types of candidiasis that if it is found in the mouth or throat, it is called oral candidiasis, oropharyngeal candidiasis, or oral thrush. If it is affect genital area, it's called an yeast infection. In women, it may be called vulvovaginal yeast infection. The yeast infects the skin of the baby's bottom area, it causes diaper rash. If the infection enters bloodstream, it's called invasive candidiasis or candidemia. Pathogenesis. Candidiasis is caused by abnormal growth of Candida albicans, which is usually due to an imbalance in the environment. Usually, this balance occurs in a woman's vagina. This infection is less likely to occur for men. Several events can spark in the imbalance. For example, antibiotic use can decrease the amount of lactobacillus bacteria, which decrease the amount of acidic products from the pH of vagina. Other events are pregnancy, uncontrolled diabetes, impaired immune system, and irritation of the vagina. Candida albicans are able to take advantage of the conditions and outcompete with the normal microflora, resulting in candidiasis or yeast infection. Transmission. Candida albicans usually transmitted from mother to infant through childbirth and remains as a part of normal human microflora. The overgrowth of Candida albicans lead to symptoms of disease, and it occurs when there is imbalance. Example, changes in the normal acidity of vagina. Candida albicans infection very rarely spread to sexual intercourse. The typical reservoir of Candida albicans is the normal human microflora and is not found in animal vectors. Diagnosis. Diagnosis of the yeast infection is done either by a microscopic examination or culturing. The treatment, cutaneous candidiasis in the skin infection affected treated with a variety of antifungal powders and creams. The affected area must be kept clean, dry and protected from chafing. Deep candidiasis, this infection is usually due to intravenous fluconazole. Laboratory diagnosis of HIV. Laboratory procedure for diagnosis of HIV infection includes specific tests for HIV test and immunodeficiency as well. Evidence of the infection by HIV can be detected 3 ways. First, specific test for HIV infection, non-specific test, and test for opportunistic infections and tumors. Specific test for HIV. First one is antigen detection. The virus antigens may be detectable in the blood after about 2 weeks following a single massive infection as by blood transfusion. A major core antigen P24 is the earliest virus marker to appear in the blood and is the one tested for IgM antibodies appear in about 4 to 6 weeks to be followed by IgG antibodies. P24 antigen capture assay, that is ELISA, which are used anti-P24 antibody as the solid phase can be used for this. The test is most useful in persons recently exposed to risk of infection in whom the antibody test is negative. Second is viral isolation. Once infected with HIV, a person remains infected for the life. The virus is present in the circulation and body fluids within the lymphocytes or cell-free. It can be isolated from the CD4 lymphocytes of peripheral blood, bone marrow, and serum. The technique of isolation by inoculating of the patient's lymphocytes with unaffected lymphocytes in the presence of interleukin-2. Detection of viral nucleic acid. As the most sensitive specific test PCR has become the gold standard for diagnosis of HIV. Often the PCR test complex and indicated only when other methods can give a definitive result. Two forms of PCR has been used, DNA PCR and RNA PCR. And fourth one is antibody detection. Demonstration of antibodies is the simplest and most widely employed technique for diagnosis of HIV infection. So these are the laboratory tests of the HIV infection screening, that means ELISA, and rapid test like blood assays, particle agglutination, HIV spot and cough test, fluorometric microparticle technologies, and simple tests. That is all based on ELISA principle but take 1 to 2 hours. Non-specific tests or immunological tests following parameters helps to establish the immunodeficiency in HIV infection. Total leukocyte and lymphocyte count, demonstrable leukopenia, and the lymphocyte count is usually below 2000 mm³. And T cell subset assays, absolute CD4 plus T cell count will be usually less than 200 cubic millimeter, and T4 ratio with T8 cell ratio is reversed. Platelet count will show thrombocytopenia, raised IgG and IgA, and levels, diminished CMI as indicated by skin test, lymph node biopsy showing profound abnormalities. Test for opportunistic infections and tumors. Apart from diagnosing HIV infection, laboratory would be called upon identifying opportunistic infection as a feature of AIDS. Routine microbiological methods would suffice for this. However, serological diagnosis of infection may not be always be reliable on AIDS as the antibody formation may be affected by the immune deficiency. Meningococcal meningitis. In the third stage of meningococcal infection, the organism can cross the blood-brain barrier and infect the meninges, causing major symptoms of severe headache, stiff neck, and vomiting accompanied by delirium and confusion. The route of spread from the nasopharynx to meninges is controversial. The spread may be directly along the perineural sheath of olfactory nerve to the cibriform plate to the subarachnoid space, or more probably through the bloodstream. In certain cases, the site of entry of meningococcus may be the conjunctiva. Cases of meningococcal purulent conjunctivitis occur. On reaching the central nervous system, the suppurative lesions of the meninges is set up, involving the surface of spinal cord as well as the base and cortex of the brain. The cocci are invariably found in the spinal fluid, both free and within the leukocytes. Case fatality is variable, but untreated may be up as high as 80%. Survivors may have sequelae such as blindness and deafness. Some cases develop into chronic or recurrent meningitis. Laboratory diagnosis like specimens include CS of blood for culture from which come from a patient with meningitis, hemorrhagic rash of pyrexia of unsolved origin, aspirate from skin lesions or pus from infected joint, throat or nasopharyngeal swabs from suspected case swabs should be transported in steward transport medium. All specimens where meningococcal infection suspected must be submitted to the laboratory immediately. Treatment. Penicillin is currently as an antibiotic of choice, but resistant to it also may become more common. Intravenous penicillin G is a treatment of choice. Chloramphenicol is effective, but risk of blood dysgeusia may have limited its use. Either chloramphenicol or third generation cephalosporin, cefotaxime or ceftriaxone is used. Persons allergic to penicillin alone. Biomedical waste management. According to Biomedical Waste Rules 1998 of India, biomedical waste means any waste which generated from the diagnosis, treatment, or immunization of human beings or animals or in research activities pertaining thereto or production of testing biologicals. Infectious waste include all those medical wastes which have potential to transmit viral, bacterial, or parasitic disease. It includes both human and animal infections waste and waste generated in laboratories and veterinary practice. Infectious waste is hazardous in nature. Any waste with potential to pose a threat to human health is called hazardous waste. Steps in the waste management include the generation, accumulation, handling, storage, treatment, transport, and disposal. The development and implementation of a national waste management policy can improve biomedical waste management in health facilities in the country. General principles of waste management include effective waste management requires clean and tidy environment. Since the waste tends to accumulate in dirty surroundings, the hospital and its premises should be maintained in a clean and hygienic state. This requires frequent soap and water washing, mopping, and good housekeeping practices. The objective of biomedical waste are to prevent harm resulting from waste, minimize its volume, retrieve reusable materials, and ensure safe and economical disposal. Steps in waste management. First is reduction in volume can be achieved by proper planning and using reusable items whenever safely possible. Segregation. The first is separation of waste at the point of generation into various types with respect to their category and more. When the potentially harmful waste is mixed with harmless waste such as paper or packing materials, the entire lot become contaminated and will have to be autoclaved. Instead, only the originally infected items. Segregated waste is to be put in a different colored containers as prescribed. As the rules for appropriate treatment, this has been modified in 2016. Storage. Storage refers to measures taken to ensure biomedical waste kept safely at the point of generation before being sent to the biomedical waste treatment facility. Transportation refers to movement of waste from the point of generation to the treatment facility. Treatment here means by all procedure and process intended to reduce the bulk of the waste. Waste categories. Category number 1, human anatomical waste. Category number 2, animal waste. Category number 3, microbiological or biotechnological waste. Category number 4, waste of shark. Category 5, discarded medicine, cytotoxic waste. And 6, soiled wastes like including cotton dressing, soiled plaster cast. Category 7, solid waste. Then category 8, liquid waste. Category 9, incineration waste, that ash off from the incineration of any biomedical waste. Category 10, chemical waste, chemical used in the production of biological chemicals used in disinfecting. Differentiate the type of waste, quantity of the waste, determine the points of generation and type of waste generated, determine the level of generation. If it refers to basic separation of different category of waste generated at source, that reduce the risk as well as cost of handling and disposal. Segregation is the most crucial step in biomedical waste management. Then effective segregation. Then answer briefly. MMR vaccine. MMR vaccine is the vaccine against measles, mumps, and rubella. The first dose is generally given to children around 9 months to 15 months of age. The second dose is 15 months to 6 years of age and at least 4 weeks between them. Doses. After 2 doses, 97% of people are protected against measles, 88% against mumps, and at least 97% against rubella. The live attenuated vaccine is contraindicated in the pregnancy. MMR vaccine is administered by subcutaneous injection. The second dose may be given as early as 1 month after the first dose. Second dose is the dose to produce immunity in the smaller number of persons who fail to develop measles immunity after the first dose. Name 4 common infections caused by Staphylococcus. Cutaneous infections, they include wound and bone infections, pustules, furnicles, boils, carpopils, stapes, impetigo, and pemphigus neonatorum. Deep infections like osteomyelitis, peritonitis, tonsillitis, pharyngitis, sinusitis, bronchopneumonia, emphysema, septicemia, meningitis, endocarditis, breast abscess, renal abscess, abscess in the other organs. Mantoux test, a tool for screening tuberculosis and for tubercular diagnosis. It is one of the major tuberculin skin tests used around the world. Mantoux test is a standard dose of 5 tuberculin units injected intradermally on the flexor surface of the left forearm, midway between elbow and the wrist. The injection should be made with a tuberculin syringe. If placed correctly, injection should be produced a pale V of the skin 6 to 10 mm in diameter. The result on the test is read after 48 to 96 hours, but after 72 hours is ideal. A person who has been exposed to bacteria is expected to mount the immune response in the skin containing bacterial proteins. The response is classical example of delayed type hypersensitivity reaction. Dengue fever. Dengue fever is a mosquito-borne tropical disease caused by dengue virus. Symptoms begin 3 to 14 days after the infection. This include high fever, headache, vomiting, muscle and joint pain characteristic of skin rash. Recovery generally takes 2 to 7 days. In a small proportion of cases, the disease develops into a more severe dengue hemorrhagic fever resulting in bleeding, low levels of blood platelets and blood plasma leakage, or into dengue shock syndrome where dangerously low blood pressure occurs. IgM. The normal serum level of IgM is 1.2 mg per ml. It has a half-life of 5 days. IgM is the first immunoglobulin to appear after exposure to an antigen. IgM agglutinase bacteria, actively complemented by several classical pathways and enhance the ingestion of pathogens by phagocytic cells. IgM is normally restricted to the intravascular space because of high molecular weight. It also the earliest to be synthesized by the fetus beginning around 20 weeks of age. As it cannot cross the placental barrier, the presence of IgM in the fetus or newborn indicate intrauterine infection. Its detection is therefore useful for a diagnosis of congenital infections, syphilis, rubella, HIV and toxoplasmosis. Name 4 causative organisms of urinary tract infection: Klebsiella pneumoniae, Staphylococcus Enterococcus faecalis, Group, Streptococcus, Proteus mirabilis, Pseudomonas, and Staphylococcus aureus and Gram staining. Gram staining is the common technique used to differentiate two large groups of bacteria used under different cell wall constituents. The Gram stain distinguish between gram-positive and gram-negative groups by coloring these cells red or violet. Gram-positive bacteria stain violet due to the presence of a thick layer of peptidoglycine in the cell walls, which retains the crystal violet these cells are stained with. Alternatively, gram-negative bacteria stain red with the attribute to thinner peptidoglycan wall, which does not retain the crystal violet during the decoloring process. Gram staining involves 3 processes: staining with a water-soluble dye called crystal violet, decolorization, and powder staining. Usually it is safe. Due to difference in the thickness of peptidoglycan layer in the cell membrane between gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria, the gram-positive bacteria retain the crystal violet stain during decolorization process, while gram-negative bacteria lose the crystal violet stain and instead stain by a safranin in the final staining process. NIH swab, National Institute of Health swab. It is cellophane paper folded and tied to the tip of the glass rod and inserted to a test tube. The cellophane end is applied to the perianal region and then removed, spread on the glass slide. The eggs of microfilaria are deposited in the large number on the perineal skin at the night can be demonstrated by scraping this area by using NIH swab in the morning before taking bath. Name 4 viruses transmitted to the blood transfusion: dengue, HIV, hepatitis A, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and Zika virus. Louis Pasteur. Louis Pasteur was a French chemist and microbiologist renowned for his discoveries for the principle of vaccination, microbial fermentations, and pasteurization. His research in chemistry led to remarkable breakthrough in understanding of causes and prevention of disease, which has laid down the foundations of hygiene, public health, and much of the modern medicine. He is regarded as one of the founders of modern bacteriology and has been called the father of microbiology and as the father of microbiology together with Robert Koch. Pasteur is also regarded as one of the fathers of the germ theory disease, which was a minor medical concern at that time. His works are credited to saving millions of lives through the development of vaccines for rabies and anthrax. Thank you.